The massive Xeraxian vessel Diplomatic Bridge emerged from the jump point near Jupiter, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns across space. Earth's early warning systems detected the arrival, but there was no panic. This visit had been arranged through 6 months of careful communications. Ambassador Sophia Chen watched the approaching ship from the observation deck of the International Space Station. At 53, she had navigated complex negotiations with nations across Earth, but nothing had prepared her for becoming humanity's voice to the stars. Magnificent, isn't it? Captain James Okonkwo joined her at the viewport. His military bearing remained impeccable even after 3 days in microgravity. Terrifying and beautiful, Sophia admitted, like most important moments in history. The Xeraxians had discovered Earth 3 years earlier, observing from a distance before making contact. Their galactic union comprised 27 spacefaring civilizations, and they had extended an invitation for Earth to begin the membership process. What the humans didn't know was that this invitation divided the Xeraxian leadership. Deep within the crystalline vessel, Supreme Counselor Vrax addressed the High Command in their private chamber. The four-eyed alien's blue skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns reflecting his agitation. These humans represent an unprecedented anomaly. Vrax gestured toward holographic displays showing Earth's history. They advanced from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than a century. Their biological adaptability and capacity for violence exceed anything in our records. Strategic Commander Kel flared her neck frills in concern. Their entertainment broadcasts contain countless scenarios about resisting alien influences. They anticipate conflict rather than harmony. Precisely why we must act now, while they remain confined to their solar system, Vrax said. The ceremonial dinner presents our opportunity. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Intelligence operatives had identified compounds on Earth called capsaicins. Chemical weapons plants evolved to deter mammals from consuming them. Humans inexplicably consumed these toxins in small amounts, but concentrated extracts should prove swiftly fatal while appearing to be an unfortunate biological incompatibility, rather than deliberate elimination. Meanwhile, Dr. Layla Rahman completed her final equipment check aboard the transfer shuttle. The xenobiologist had packed specialized scanners disguised as jewelry, not out of distrust, but scientific curiosity. Nervous? Master Chef Diego Vargas stowed his culinary kit beneath his seat. The former restaurateur had been selected for his encyclopedic knowledge of Earth's cuisines and his calm adaptability. Excited, Layla corrected. We're about to experience food prepared by beings who evolved on another world. The biochemical implications alone are fascinating. The irony of her enthusiasm was not lost on the Xeraxian observers monitoring their communications. As the human shuttle docked with the larger vessel, Diplomatic Officer Mix reviewed the dinner protocols once more. Though junior in rank, she had been assigned to directly interact with the humans. Her preliminary research suggested their emotional responses were similar to juvenile Xeraxians, transparent and unfiltered. Remember, her superior instructed, show appropriate fascination with their primitive achievements. The Supreme Counselor wants them comfortable until the final course. Mix nodded, though something about the mission parameters troubled her. These humans had transmitted millions of hours of their culture, art, and science freely into space, behavior inconsistent with a threat requiring elimination. As the airlock cycled and the human delegation prepared to board, both species stood on the precipice of a first contact that would reshape galactic politics in ways neither could anticipate. And it would all begin with dinner. Chief Alchemist Tizor worked with meticulous precision in the culinary laboratory aboard the Diplomatic Bridge. His four-fingered hands deftly manipulated the environmental controls around a sealed container marked with warning glyphs. Inside floated what appeared to be ordinary red peppers from Earth. Computer, increase magnification, Tizor instructed. The holographic display zoomed in, revealing the microscopic structure of capsaicin molecules. Unlike most species in the Galactic Union, humans deliberately cultivated plants containing defensive toxins and consumed them for pleasure. This biological quirk had provided the perfect cover for elimination without violating the Union's strict laws against assassination. The concentration is now 20,000 Scoville units higher than their ghost pepper variant, Tizor noted into his official log. According to our simulations, this will cause immediate neural shutdown in human physiology, while remaining harmless to all delegations present. What troubled Tizor wasn't the ethics of his assignment, of the lack of scientific precedent. Humans were the first species encountered who willingly consumed substances that caused pain. This suggested neural pathways and reward systems unlike anything previously documented. 3 decks above, the human delegation followed diplomatic officer Mix through soaring crystalline corridors. Ambassador Chen maintained a diplomatic poker face, but the others made no effort to hide their wonder. The architecture appears to be grown rather than constructed, Dr. Raman observed, her scanner disguised as a bracelet quietly collecting data. "You have a keen eye," Mex replied, her neck frills briefly displaying a pattern that in Xeraxian culture indicated genuine surprise. "The outer hull is cultivated from silicon-based organisms native to our homeworld." Chef Vargas trailed his fingers along the living wall, feeling the subtle vibration. "It's breathing," he murmured. "Our vessel is semi-sentient," Mex explained, though not fully conscious by your definition. Captain Okonkwo watched the interaction with military assessment instincts he couldn't entirely suppress. The Xeraxians had provided extensive information about their biology, culture, and technology. Yet something felt rehearsed about this tour. "Will we be meeting representatives from other Union species at this dinner?" he asked casually. Mix's secondary eyelids flickered. A micro-expression Captain Okonkwo noted without understanding its significance. "Yes, delegations from 7 core worlds are currently aboard." Supreme Counselor Vrax believes this will provide a more comprehensive introduction to galactic society. In the private communications channel accessible only to Xeraxian leadership, Strategic Commander Kell monitored the humans' vital signs through sensors embedded in the corridor. "The military one suspects something," she reported to Counselor Vrax. "Expected. Their protector caste would evolve heightened threat assessment," Vrax replied. "Fortunately, we don't need their trust, only their participation in the meal." Meanwhile, Tizor completed the final preparation of the human-specific dishes. The appetizer contained minimal capsaicin, enough to seem like a cultural misunderstanding if detected. The main course, however, held the lethal concentration, disguised within a complex mixture of flavors designed to mask the burning sensation until too late. As Tizor sealed the serving containers, he noticed something on his scanner. An anomaly in the molecular structure when the compound interacted with synthetic human tissue. For a moment, scientific curiosity almost compelled him to report it. Instead, he closed the file. The Supreme Counselor had deemed humans too unpredictable for the Union's carefully balanced ecosystem of civilizations. "Orders are orders," Tizor murmured, dispatching the dishes to the kitchen drums. In the grand reception hall, other alien delegations were arriving. The insectoid Vesperi, the aquatic Melusians in their hovering water spheres, and the energy beings known as the Luminae, contained within specialized environmental suits. The stage was set for a dinner that would change the course of interstellar politics, though not in the way the Xeraxians had planned. The grand banquet hall aboard the diplomatic bridge outshone any venue on Earth. Crystalline pillars rose 30 meters toward a ceiling that mimicked an alien night sky, complete with 3 moons orbiting a ringed world. Gravity generators had been calibrated to accommodate the diverse physiologies of all attendees, creating subtle zones where each species could move comfortably. Ambassador Chen and her team entered to find 27 distinct dining sections arranged in a perfect circle. Each section featured environmental modifications suited to its intended guests. The Melusians' water-filled enclosure, the methane-rich atmosphere for the gaseous Volokrites, and the high-gravity setting for the silicon-based Petrons. "Your section has been prepared according to the biological parameters you provided," Mex explained, guiding them to a section that appeared surprisingly Earth-like, with familiar-looking chairs and table settings. We've synthesized materials similar to your wood and cotton for your comfort. Dr. Raman activated her scanner discreetly as they were seated. The attention to detail is remarkable, she commented while her device analyzed the molecular composition of everything within range. Counselor Vrax made his entrance, his ornate ceremonial garments pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that served as both decoration and status indicators to other Zoraxians. He moved methodically around the circle, greeting each delegation before finally arriving at the humans. "Earth's representatives," he said, his translator converting the series of clicks and hums into English. "Your presence completes our gathering. Tonight marks the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars." Captain Okonkwo noted how several alien delegations observed this interaction with particular interest, especially the insectoid Vesperi, whose compound eyes seemed fixed on the humans rather than on their host. As Vrax returned to his position, hovering service drones emerged from concealed wall panels, each carrying dishes specifically designed for their assigned species. The human delegation watched in fascination as gelatinous cubes were delivered to the amorphous shifters, while living plants still rooted in soil were presented to the photosynthetic Florians. When their own server arrived, it carried 5 covered dishes that emitted a visible vapor even before being opened. The drone placed one before each human, plus an extra at the empty setting reserved for cultural exchange. "These dishes have been crafted based on our analysis of your species' nutritional requirements and cultural preferences," announced Vrax as the covers lifted simultaneously across the hall. "We hope they prove both nourishing and enlightening." The human plates contained what appeared to be a richly colored stew with unfamiliar vegetables and protein sources. The aroma that wafted up was complex, earthy and fragrant, but with an underlying sharpness that tickled their nostrils. Throughout the room, recording devices activated discreetly. Strategic Commander Kell monitored vital sign telemetry from her hidden command center, focusing particularly on the humans. Medical teams stood by in adjacent chambers, not to render aid, but to document the physiological effects for future reference. Chef Vargas leaned forward with professional interest, analyzing the presentation and composition. "The color gradient suggests layered flavors," he observed. "Reminds me of techniques from Southeast Asian cuisines." Ambassador Chen noted how several alien representatives seemed to be watching their table with unusual attention. She had participated in enough high-stakes negotiations to recognize tension disguised as casual interest. Dr. Raman's scanner quietly vibrated against her wrist, a warning about unusual chemical compounds in their food. She caught Captain Okonkwo's eye with a subtle nod that communicated caution without alarm. As is customary, Vrax announced, his voice carrying throughout the hall, "We invite our newest guests to take the first taste. May this meal forge understanding between worlds." All eyes in the chamber turned to the humans as Chef Vargas lifted his spoon, the moment of truth arriving with the first bite of what the Zoraxians believed would be humanity's last meal. Chef Diego Vargas lifted the spoon to his lips, inhaling the complex aroma one final time before tasting. As a culinary professional, he had trained himself to identify ingredients through scent alone. There was something familiar here, something that reminded him of his grandmother's kitchen in Mexico City. The silence in the grand hall was absolute. 27 species collectively held their breath, or equivalent respiratory functions, as the human took his first taste of the carefully prepared toxin. In her monitoring station, Strategic Commander Kell zoomed in on the chef's vital signs, prepared to document the precise moment when the capsaicin overloaded his nervous system. Supreme Counselor Vrax maintained his diplomatic composure while surreptitiously activating the recording function on his ceremonial medallion. The spoon entered Vargas's mouth. His eyes widened. For one triumphant moment, the Zoraxian leadership believed their plan had succeeded. Then, inexplicably, the chef smiled. "This is remarkable," Vargas exclaimed, his voice carrying through the stunned silence. "The complexity of flavors. I'm detecting something similar to our Earth chilies, but with undertones I've never experienced before." It's like Malaysian laksa meets Oaxacan mole with something entirely alien bridging them. Ambassador Chen, following his lead despite Dr. Raman's subtle warning, took a careful taste of her own portion. "It's certainly vibrant," she said diplomatically, her forehead developing a light sheen of perspiration. "Reminds me of my mother's Sichuan hot pot." Captain Okonkwo, raised on his grandmother's pepper-heavy Nigerian cuisine, found the dish well within his comfort zone. "Excellent balance of heat and flavor," he commented casually, taking another spoonful. "Though I wonder if there might be something with a bit more intensity available." Dr. Raman, whose scanner had detected capsaicin concentrations well beyond most commercial earth preparations, cautiously tasted a small portion. Her scientific curiosity overcame her caution. "The molecular structure must be fascinating," she observed between sips of the provided water. "The heat builds differently than earth peppers. It seems to cascade rather than spike." Through his translator, the humans heard what sounded like confusion in Counselor Vrax's voice. "You find the preparation enjoyable?" "Absolutely," Chef Vargas confirmed enthusiastically. "The balance of pungency and complexity is masterful. I'd love to discuss technique with your culinary specialists." Around the circular hall, translators struggled to convey the humans' reactions to bewildered alien delegations. The jellyfish-like Medusian representative rippled her translucent tissues in what might have been confusion, tentacles signing a message to her aid. Are they immune to pain, or do they redefine it? The insectoid Vesperi chittered among themselves, compound eyes fixed unblinkingly on the humans continuing to consume what their data indicated should be causing extreme distress. In her monitoring station, Commander Kell's confusion bordered on alarm. "Counselor, their endorphin levels are rising, not falling. They appear to be experiencing pleasure, not pain." Through a private channel, Vrax responded tersely, "Increase the concentration for the main course. There must be a threshold." Meanwhile, Officer Mix observed the humans with growing fascination. Her xenobiology training had never suggested such physiological adaptability might exist. Rather than the diplomatic disaster her superiors anticipated, she watched as the humans began engaging other species in animated conversation, their apparent enjoyment of the toxic dish becoming an unexpected icebreaker. "Your culinary sciences must be incredibly advanced," Ambassador Chen said to a nearby Florian, whose photosynthetic appendages swayed with interest. "On Earth, we have thousands of regional cooking styles that embrace different levels of spice." Spice. The Florian's translator rendered in English. "You classify pain as flavor." Chef Vargas laughed warmly. "The best flavors often walk the line between pleasure and pain. That's what makes eating an adventure." Across the chamber, even as he ordered increased toxicity, Counselor Vrax couldn't help but wonder if their intelligence on humans might have missed something fundamental about this strange species from Earth. Between courses, Chief Alchemist Tizor worked frantically in his laboratory. His bioluminescent patterns flashed with stress as he concentrated capsaicin extract to unprecedented levels. "This exceeds safety protocols," his assistant noted cautiously. "Override authorized by Supreme Council," Tizor replied, not looking up from his work. These concentrations would dissolve Zeraxian neural tissue on contact. The assistant's neck frills flattened in alarm. Is such escalation necessary? They appear to be harmless cultural diplomats. Soar paused, four-fingered hands hovering over his instruments. Scientific curiosity warred with duty. "Orders are orders," he finally said, though doubt colored his voice. Meanwhile, in a quiet alcove off the main banquet hall, Dr. Layla Rahman gathered the human delegation with practiced casualness, as though discussing cultural observations rather than sharing critical information. "My scanner detected capsaicin compounds in our food at concentrations exceeding 20 million Scoville units," she explained quietly. "That's well beyond law enforcement grade pepper spray." Captain Okonkwo's expression hardened. "Deliberate, then." "Almost certainly," Dr. Rahman confirmed. "The molecular structure has been modified slightly, optimized for human physiology specifically. Ambassador Chen considered this information carefully. Years of diplomatic crisis management had prepared her for unexpected challenges, though attempted assassination via condiments hadn't been covered in her training. Options, she asked. We could confront them, Captain Okonkwo suggested, create a diplomatic incident. Chef Vargas, still analyzing flavor notes from the appetizer, shook his head. Or we could leverage this misunderstanding to our advantage. Ambassador Chen nodded slowly, a strategy forming. They clearly expected us to collapse from their poisoned dish. Our unexpected resilience has already disrupted their plans and confused the other delegations. If we maintain our enjoyment of their deadly food, Dr. Raman theorized, we demonstrate adaptability without direct confrontation. Precisely, Chen agreed. Captain, maintain security awareness, but follow my lead. Diego, you're our cultural specialist. Show enthusiasm regardless of how intense the next course might be. As they returned to their seats, Officer Mix approached with what appeared to be genuine curiosity. Your metabolisms process compounds differently than our models predicted, she observed. Do all humans share this capability? Chef Vargas seized the opening. Humans have cultivated thousands of pepper varieties specifically for their capsaicin content, he explained enthusiastically. Though sensitivity varies, some of my customers back on Earth would find this appetizer mild, while others might struggle. Mix's translator rendered her response as interested, though her bioluminescent patterns revealed confusion to other Xeraxians. You deliberately consume defensive plant toxins. For enjoyment? For connection, Vargas clarified. Shared culinary experiences bridge cultural differences. The chemical response also releases endorphins, natural pleasure compounds in our brains. Across the room, two Medusian delegates undulated their tentacles in animated discussion while observing the humans. The hovering translation device between them rendered fragments audible. Physiological adaptation unprecedented. Potential military applications. Pain tolerance indicates. The banquet hall illumination shifted subtly, signaling the main course. The service drones emerged again, this time bearing covered dishes that steamed ominously when revealed. Supreme Counselor Vrax observed the humans with intensified scrutiny as their plates were presented. The main course glowed an alarming crimson, vapors visibly distorting the air above it. This traditional preparation, Vrax announced with careful neutrality, represents our cultural heritage's most cherished flavors. In the monitoring station, Commander Kell maintained constant surveillance. Capsaicin levels are triple the previous dose, she reported. No biological system could process such concentrations harmlessly. Dr. Raman's scanner vibrated more urgently against her wrist. She caught Chef Vargas's eye with a subtle warning glance. The capsaicin concentration had indeed escalated dramatically, beyond anything commercially available on Earth. Ambassador Chen, recognizing the pivotal moment, lifted her spoon first. Steam curled around her face as she took a deliberate taste of what the Xeraxians believed was a guaranteed lethal weapon. Her eyes watered involuntarily, but she smiled through the intensity. Magnificent, she declared, voice steady, despite the fire spreading through her mouth. This reminds me of my university days in Chengdu. Ambassador Chen's composure in the face of what should have been a lethal dose of capsaicin created a ripple effect throughout the banquet hall. Captain Okonkwo followed her lead, taking a substantial spoonful with military stoicism. Dr. Raman approached her portion with scientific deliberation, while Chef Vargas analyzed the complex flavors with genuine professional interest, despite the overwhelming heat. The building intensity is masterful, Vargas commented, his face flushed, but his enthusiasm undiminished. There are at least 3 distinct waves of heat, each complementing the underlying umami components. In the monitoring station, Commander Kell's confusion transformed into genuine scientific curiosity. Their endorphin levels are spiking, Counselor. They appear to be experiencing something akin to euphoria rather than distress. Supreme Counselor Vrax's bioluminescent patterns betrayed his growing unease to those who could read Xeraxian expressions. His carefully orchestrated elimination had become something entirely unexpected, a point of cultural fascination. Ambassador Chen seized this moment of confusion to implement her diplomatic counterstrike. She stood, raising her glass in a traditional Earth toast. Supreme Counselor Vrax, distinguished delegates of the Galactic Union, she began, her voice steady despite the lingering fire on her palate. On behalf of Earth, I wish to express our profound appreciation for this remarkable culinary experience. She paused, allowing the translators to convert her words for all present species. As a gesture of cultural exchange, and in the spirit of forging lasting connections between our worlds, Earth formally requests the recipe for this exceptional dish. The request created immediate consternation among the Ziraxian leadership. To refuse would be diplomatically suspicious, yet to provide the recipe would be to admit they had served humans concentrated toxins. Before Vrax could formulate a response, Chef Vargas added enthusiastically, "And in return, I would be honored to prepare a traditional Earth dessert for our hosts and the assembled delegations." This unexpected offer created a graceful exit from the diplomatic trap. Vrax inclined his head in what the translators rendered as grateful acceptance. Within 20 minutes, Chef Vargas had been escorted to a culinary preparation area where he worked with unfamiliar equipment to create a simple vanilla ice cream. The cooling dessert would provide relief from the capsaicin while demonstrating Earth's culinary diversity. What no one anticipated was the effect vanilla compounds would have on Ziraxian biology. When served, the simple dessert created an immediate sensation. Vrax's eyes dilated visibly upon first taste, his bioluminescent patterns shifting to hues never before observed in diplomatic settings. "This produces a most unexpected neural response," he admitted, the translator struggling to convey what appeared to be genuine pleasure. "The compound you call vanilla interacts with our sensory receptors in a manner similar to our ceremonial meditation enhancers." Officer Mix, sampling the dessert with undisguised curiosity, experienced a mild euphoric state that made her natural scientific interest even more pronounced. "These flavors reveal harmonies I had not considered possible," she enthused. "The simplicity contains unexpected complexity." Throughout the hall, other species cautiously sampled the human dessert, each experiencing unique biochemical reactions. The Melusians found that vanilla stimulated their chromatophores, causing rippling color patterns across their aquatic bodies. The silicon-based patrons discovered that cream's fat molecules created pleasing resonance patterns in their crystalline sensory structures. What had begun as an assassination attempt had transformed into the most successful first-contact culinary exchange in Galactic Union history. Ambassador Chen observed with diplomatic satisfaction as barriers between species dissolved over shared sensory experiences. "You understand something fundamental about interspecies relations," she told Counselor Vrax privately as the ice cream was distributed. "The fastest way to forge connection is indeed through the sharing of food, though perhaps not quite in the way you initially intended." Vrax's translator conveyed diplomatic neutrality, but the subtle shifts in his bioluminescence suggested something between embarrassment and newfound respect. The morning after the remarkable dinner, Dr. Layla Rahman found herself invited to address the Galactic Union's Xenobiology Council. The circular chamber housed representatives from all 27 member species, their diverse physiologies accommodated by specialized environmental interfaces. What had begun as a routine first contact procedure had evolved into an unprecedented scientific inquiry. Chief Science Officer Trelvik, a lumine whose energy-based form shimmered within a containment field, opened the session. "We seek understanding of human capsaicin response mechanisms. Our models predicted catastrophic neural collapse at 1/10 the concentration you consumed." Dr. Rahman activated her holographic display, showing the molecular structure of capsaicin alongside human neural receptors. "What you intended as a toxin, humans have co-evolved with as a culinary experience," she explained, noting but not directly addressing the attempted assassination. Capsaicin binds to pain receptors called TRPV1, creating the sensation of heat without actual tissue damage. The assembled scientists leaned forward, those with physical bodies capable of doing so, with undisguised fascination. The critical difference, Raman continued, is that humans experience this pain alongside pleasure. When capsaicin triggers our pain receptors, our brains release endorphins, natural painkillers that create a mild euphoric state. Over time, we develop both tolerance and preference for increasingly intense sensations. You seek pain for pleasure. The Vesperi representative's translator rendered, compound eyes blinking in patterns that suggested profound confusion. We seek intensity of experience, Raman clarified. Throughout human history, we've cultivated plants containing defensive compounds specifically because they create sensory complexity. Meanwhile, in another section of the diplomatic bridge, Captain Okonkwo participated in comparative physiological assessments. What had begun as standard diplomatic protocol had transformed into an impromptu demonstration of human resilience. Your environmental adaptability exceeds any documented species, noted the Malusian examiner, tentacles manipulating holographic readouts. Temperature tolerance ranges, radiation resistance, atmospheric variable processing, all suggest evolutionary pressure from a highly unstable planetary environment. Okonkwo completed another endurance test, his military training evident in his controlled breathing. Earth's diversity forced adaptability. He explained between measured breaths. Our planet contains everything from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts, often experiencing radical climate shifts within human lifetimes. In the administrative wing, Ambassador Chen met with the Galactic Union Security Council, where urgent reclassification discussions were underway. What had begun as a clandestine elimination attempt had backfired spectacularly, forcing a complete reassessment of humanity's potential role in interstellar politics. The humans not only survived concentrated capsaicin but appeared to enjoy it, reported Strategic Commander Kell, her former confidence replaced by thoughtful reconsideration. This suggests fundamental biological resilience we had not anticipated. Supreme Counselor Vrax, still experiencing subtle neural effects from the vanilla ice cream, had shifted from seeing humans as threats to seeing them as potentially valuable allies. Their adaptive capacity could prove useful in environments hostile to our physiology, he acknowledged. More significant than our capsaicin tolerance, Ambassador Chen suggested diplomatically, is our cultural adaptability. Throughout human history, we've embraced the unfamiliar rather than fearing it. As evidence, she shared historical records of human culinary evolution, how plants and animals initially toxic to humans became delicacies through preparation techniques. Coffee, chocolate, certain mushrooms, even alcohol, all originally defensive compounds that humans had transformed into cultural touchstones. In the ship's culinary laboratory, Chief Alchemist Tizor and Chef Vargas engaged in animated exchange, their initial adversarial relationship transformed by shared professional curiosity. Your species actively seeks compounds that trigger pain responses. Tizor marveled, neck frills expanding with scientific excitement, and develops preparation techniques to make them not just tolerable but transcendent, Vargas confirmed, demonstrating the human technique of toasting spices to release complex flavor compounds. Throughout the diplomatic bridge, the story of humans who enjoyed poison as a delicacy spread among diverse species, transforming humanity's introduction to galactic society from planned elimination to unprecedented fascination. One standard galactic year after the infamous dinner incident, Earth's formal induction into the Galactic Union proceeded with unprecedented terms and privileges. The ceremony took place in the Grand Assembly Hall on the Zeraxian homeworld, with diplomatic representatives from all 28 member worlds now in attendance. Ambassador Sophia Chen, recently appointed as Earth's first Galactic Union Council member, stood on the crystalline platform as Supreme Counselor Vrax presented the official charter of membership. His bioluminescent patterns displayed formal respect, with subtle undertones that knowledgeable observers recognized as genuine admiration. The addition of Earth represents more than expansion, Vrax announced to the assembled dignitaries. It signifies evolution of the Union itself through diversity of perspective and biological innovation. The attempted assassination via capsaicin had transformed into a diplomatic origin story, retold with increasing embellishment at interstellar gatherings. What began as an embarrassment for the Xeraxians had been diplomatically reframed as a cultural misunderstanding that revealed unexpected compatibility. The truth remained known only to the original participants and select officials, preserved by mutual agreement that served both species' interests. In trading hubs across the galaxy, Earth peppers had become the most sought-after botanical export, commanding prices that transformed small-scale farmers into interplanetary merchants overnight. Human-style restaurants appeared in every major spaceport, with waiting lists extending months for species eager to experience calibrated capsaicin formulations that triggered their unique neurochemistry in novel ways. Captain Okonkwo, now Admiral of Earth's first joint human-alien defense fleet, observed the ceremony with quiet satisfaction. His initial suspicions had been validated, yet the outcome had exceeded anyone's expectations. The Xeraxians, once humanity's would-be destroyers, had become Earth's strongest advocates in interstellar politics. The human capacity to derive pleasure from defensive compounds has applications beyond culinary experience, explained Dr. Raman to a consortium of xenobiologists. Her research collaboration had identified how human pain-pleasure response mechanisms could help other species develop new medical treatments and environmental adaptations. Officer Mix, promoted to interspecies cultural liaison after her role in the First Contact, had become the foremost Xeraxian expert on human culture. Their evolutionary history on a planet of extreme environmental diversity created not just physical adaptability but psychological flexibility. She wrote in her widely distributed analysis, "Humans instinctively seek novelty where other species pursue stability." In a quiet moment during the celebrations, Chef Vargas and Chief Alchemist Tizur shared a commemorative meal that symbolized their journey from unwitting adversaries to collaborative pioneers. "Your attempt to poison us created a revolution in interspecies cuisine," Vargas noted without rancor, sampling a dish that incorporated both capsaicin and compounds unique to Xeraxian biology. "Your ability to transform potential harm into collective benefit revealed much about your species," Tizor acknowledged, his scientific curiosity having long since overcome his initial prejudice. Across the reception hall, Strategic Commander Kell approached Ambassador Chen with the formal respect of equals. "The Security Council has officially reclassified humans from potential threat to essential allies," she informed her. "Your species' unique relationship with adversity has proven instructive." Chen smiled diplomatically. "Perhaps the most human quality isn't our tolerance for capsaicin, but our ability to adapt unexpected challenges into opportunities." As the ceremony concluded, representatives from 28 worlds raised vessels of their biologically appropriate refreshments in a unified toast. The attempted poisoning that had intended to end humanity's journey among the stars had instead become the foundation for unprecedented galactic cooperation. Supreme Counselor Vrax's closing words echoed through the chamber. "Let this be remembered as the moment we learned that what appears toxic in one context may prove transformative in another. The addition of Earth to our union reminds us that diversity of experience enriches us all." Throughout the known galaxy, the story of humans who enjoyed poison as a delicacy became the defining metaphor for a species whose greatest strength lay in transforming potential danger into shared opportunity.